On 13th February 2019, the Supreme Court of India, hearing a batch of petitions filed by wildlife conservationists and former Forest Department officials, it directed state governments to evict encroachers or the illegal forest dwellers. The order sent shockwaves across the country's forests, home to 8% of our population. It was called unconstitutional in several quarters, especially by those who had been struggling for forest rights for decades. It met with stiff resistance. Two Adivasi women leaders, Sokalo Gond and Nevada Rana, AIUWFP and CJP, are petitioning the Supreme Court to defend the constitutionality of the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dweller Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006, commonly known as the Forest Rights Act 2006.
जो हमारे पे लगा रहे हैं, हमारा हक है उसमें, और जो गैर कानूनी कर रहे हैं उनमें जो है मजे में वो राज कर रहे हैं, तो अब राज करने वाला जमाना पलट रहा है।
ये वन अधिकार कानून के तहत महिला जान पाई है कि हमारा अधिकार है, हम लेंगे। हमारे ऊपर हमला तो होता है, लेकिन अपनी जगह पर हम अटल हैं, हम नहीं हटेंगे, अपना अधिकार नहीं छोड़ेंगे।
हमारी एकता जिंदाबाद, 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 नारी शक्ति जिंदाबाद, जिंदाबाद।
What is the FRA? Why do Adivasis say that they got independence only in 2006? Forest Rights Act 2006 was a legislation that was brought in to recognize the prolonged oppression and denial of livelihood rights to people living in forest areas for generations. This act came in as a relief to millions of scheduled tribes and traditional forest dwellers who were being called encroachers before it was enacted. The creation of the Forest Department was the creation of the British colonial government for revenue generation and not for forest protection. While the British succeeded in isolating the tribal people from the rest of the country, they did not bother to save them from the clutches of moneylenders, landholders, and contractors. These exploitations of Adivasis and traditional forest dwellers resulted in many revolts and uprisings in the early 20th century. Faced with these uprisings, the British Parliament enacted many laws to crush these revolts and to give brute powers to the Forest Department. Acts like the Government of India Act 1919 and the Indian Forest Act 1927 further isolated Adivasis and legalized the exploitation of the people living in the forest. Moreover, our Indian forests were plundered for commercial purpose, and the Forest Department was used successfully as a tool against the Indian people themselves.
सरकार हम लोगों को सदियों से, आदिवासियों और वनवासियों को सदियों से सता रही है। अंग्रेजी शासन में तो सताइए किया, लेकिन आज भी हम लोगों को सताना शुरू किया है। स्वतंत्र भारत में हम आजाद नहीं हैं।
This historical injustice was recognized only 56 years after the enactment of our Constitution in 2006, when the Forest Rights Act was enacted. FRA 2006 recognizes both the rights and occupation of forest-dwelling, scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers who have been tending, protecting and residing in such forest lands for generations. It recognizes the rights of women forest workers and Adivasis and traditional forest dwellers. It includes provisions for both individual and community claims. It empowers the Gram Sabhas to process these claims. This act nowhere talks about evicting the people from their forests once their claims or if their claims are rejected. The act mandates proof of a period of 3 generations of living in the forest for a person to get their rights recognized. In short, evictions have no place in the law as it exists today.
चाहे जान देवे के बदल होई तब हमन जान दे देब, लेकिन अपना जल जंगल छोड़ के हमन कहूँ नहीं जाइबा। ये हमार मलिकाना हक बा, निमौली में हमार लिखल बा, और सरकार के अथी में हमारी आदेश बा, आदिवासी हम ही।
The forest has been described as the Adivasis people's well-loved home, livelihood, and their very existence. This relationship is older than known in history. The Forest Rights Act 2006 represents the political will of the vast Indian people, and the central government needs to be made to answer and defend the statute. CJP is determined to protect the Forest Rights Act 2006. It stands firmly with the All India Union of Forest Working People, Sokalo Gond, Nevada Rana, forest dwellers and Adivasis, and the forest rights movement in their fight for Jal, Jangal, Zameen. Find out more about our work at cjp.org.in.